It's about that time again. We have to talk about the latest episode of The Real Housewives of Miami, episode 7, Stars and Cigars. Welcome back to the Kempire Daily YouTube channel. Guys, per usual, don't forget to like this video. Don't forget to let me know where you're watching from. And don't forget to let me know how you would rate this episode from 1 to 10. How would I rate? First of all, these ladies... I say this every week. I'm going to say it again. Every time I watch an episode of The Real Housewives of Miami, I feel like we're taking a girls' trip. Every single time. And they literally are on a girls' trip right now. But this is probably their smaller scale. I don't know where they go for the season. You guys will let me know in the comment section if you know. I don't recall if we know where they went as their big trip for the season. Last year it was the Hamptons and it was a big womp womp womp. We didn't love that trip. We didn't love that trip because how do you go from Miami to the Hamptons? And I don't even think it was the summertime. No, it was the summertime. Look, the Hamptons are cute, but not when you're leaving Miami to come to the Hamptons. Girl, who thought of that? Producers. Anyways, they've been bringing it this season, and it's not just because of Lisa's divorce. I mean, that's playing a major role this season, but everyone is having a situation this year. And Guerdy, ooh, I heard rumors that Guerdy gets very activated this season. So many of you said last season you wanted to see more of Guerdy. A lot of you said she had no storyline. You're like, what's going on with Guerdy? But you liked her for other reasons. Beautiful. Great at her job. But it seems like Guerdy's storyline, along with her tensions with Alexia, her big storyline this season is that she's working and maybe overworking herself. I can see that. And that's going to affect her relationship at home. So before we get to Guerdy, so we ended last week's episode with the ladies in the sprinter between Adriana, Alexia, and Julia having a battle. Just to refresh your memory, Alexia really is the villain this season because she's saying things that a lot of you said you've noticed and never liked about Alexia, but now it's becoming clearer and clearer who she really is. And last week, she basically said, I'm glad they replayed it this week, basically said that because Julia is Russian, she knows what it's like to be a prostitute. What?
Oh, you was getting smart.
And doubled down on it just because she didn't like what Julia had to say about her ex-husband's past. And it may be inaccurate. However, that says to me your apology was not 100% genuine, Alexia. So Alexia is going back and forth with Julia, and then Adriana, because Julia's her bestie, jumps in and says, you know, what's your issue, blah, blah, blah. And Alexia then brings up the whole married man situation. You know what's worse? Dating a married man. And I told you last week, I know his father died, Adriana, but you can be like, oh, sorry, boo, about your mom. But are you still married? Well, she does do it this week. She does ends up calling him. Look, and I think Adriana, it really is trying to save face. I told you, I think, in my opinion, she knew that he was married or separated. He says that he's divorced. We'll get back to that. So they're going back and forth, but it takes a left turn when Alexia first says, I was born a star. But this is why these housewives are housewives. The delusion has to be a part of your MO. All of them, even the ones that you love and you say they're down to earth, there's always got to be a little something off about a housewife that they are a good housewife. To be honest with you, there are plenty of housewives or a friend does that we've talked about before. And I said to you, just because you're not good on the show doesn't mean that you're a bad person. Maybe you're just too normal for reality TV, too normal for Real Housewives. And nothing's wrong with that. Nothing's wrong with that. You should take that as a compliment. But when Alexia says, I was born a star, and everyone has a reaction. And look, I feel for Guerdy because everyone talks about Guerdy's reactions. And maybe Guerdy's reactions just don't make sense to what's happening in the moment. Because all of you say my reactions are part of what you enjoy about what we do here and things that you find funny. But maybe my reactions make sense to what's happening. Guerdy's reactions, they always say it doesn't make sense. The facial expression, like, oh, I love this, something from CAMEO. I love this, but she'll go like this, as opposed to like, you know what I mean? So I don't know. I don't necessarily pay attention to it, but I love the editors for showing us all of those different moments where Guerdy makes a face. Look, she's from Haiti, Caribbean islands. We're very expressive people. We're very expressive people. So I'm going to give Guerdy that moment. But Guerdy, in that moment, Alexia's like, why are you making that face? Alexia, something about your targeting of Guerdy this season, something about, I don't know what it is. Some of you will speculate. I don't know what it is. I don't know if you're jealous of Guerdy for whatever reason, because you're always bringing up Guerdy being in vogue or Guerdy being this wedding planner, Guerdy doing all of these different things. It sounds like you're a little insecure or jealous about Guerdy for whatever reason. And I don't know why you would be. You're pretty, doing things on your own. What is it? Was it because she got a lot of fan love last season? People really loved Guerdy last season. You didn't get a lot of Guerdy, but people were like, oh, wow. But Guerdy brings it up later in the episode saying that you guys feel like there's some sort of hierarchy. And I know for us, it seemed out of place. And even for the ladies, when Guerdy chimes in and she's like, she makes it about what she's been holding inside and not about what they were talking about in that moment. But she was holding that in. She's like, you guys all think you're better. One's here and one's there. It was related. It didn't make sense in the moment, but I could see that Guerdy was holding it in. And she's like, you know what? I'm stepping up this season. A lot of people said they didn't see me step up last season. I wasn't around enough. She is like, I am getting activated in the situation. But she also feels attacked by these ladies. Last week, it was Larsa saying, you're married. We've been through divorces. You can't chime in here. And we've said this before. There's no reason why Guerdy cannot share her opinion. And what Guerdy said wasn't off the wall. It wasn't off the wall. Anyways, so Guerdy's just like, what? When Alexia's like, what face? Because I don't even know the faces that I'm making and you guys that you guys mentioned. I'm like, oh. You don't know. Some people's faces are just like resting bitch face. I don't necessarily have that. Maybe I do. And I don't even realize it. Anyways, so they talk about that. But they also talk, there's a side conversation where Larsa mentions that she invited, or Lisa was coming to F1, some event that's happening in Miami. But Lenny's going to be out with the mistress during F1 as well. And people are like, oh, should she be doing that? Larsa, I'm really enjoying you this season. You know why? All the other flaky, soft voice, Kim Kardashian-esque stuff about Larsa, I don't love. But I'm really getting to see Larsa's hardcore, down-to-earth, I'm there for you as a friend, no matter what. And that's it. That part of Larsa, I think that is the real Larsa. I want to see more of that Larsa. I don't care about her dating. I don't care about these just fakeness of moments. I'm just like, And we did see some of it last season. There are parts, and why I know people love Larsa on the show, because she is a different energy. She gives you almost grand dame energy in Miami. The same energy that, I was born to star Alexia, the same sort of like, I am the queen of Miami. She gives that energy, and she's an OG of this franchise. So I'm really enjoying Larsa, but you remember Larsa was the one saying you can't chime in, Guerdy, because of you've never been divorced. Everybody feels as if, oh, I've been through something. You can't talk about what I've been through. She wasn't. She was talking about what she feels about when it comes to marriage and family. But I love Larsa because of her support of Lisa, and she's like, I'm not gonna let Lisa sit at home crying and Lenny's out here flaunting the mistress. No, come to this party that I'm hosting at the Versace mansion and have a good time. Larsa's the girl you need when you're going through what you're going through, like a divorce or relationship issue. So they talk about that. That was a side conversation. But as I said to you before, when the group are talking about what transpired on the Sprinter at the dinner table, Guerdy chimes in and talks about how she's feeling, what she's been holding in. And it doesn't relate to what they were just discussing, but it related to her. And she's like, I need to get this out because we're filming and I need to be activated. But I get where she was coming from. And this is where they talk about her facial expressions and how they don't make sense in the moment. You're just like, what is going on with you? And like, what are you talking about? They're confused sometimes with Guerdy's sayings. She has her own little sayings. And they're like, what? But that's when Alexia brings up, when Guerdy mentioned that you're talking about you're a star, and she's like, I am a star. You're always bringing up that you're in vogue and you're the wedding planner, and she's like, that's facts. And honestly, that's facts, Alexia. It's a fact that she's been featured in Vogue. It's a fact that she's a wedding planner. It's a fact that she's a sought after wedding planner. I don't know if it's a fact that you're a star or born a star. Because nobody was talking about Alexia when Real Housewives of Miami wasn't filming. Just saying. And I don't think they were talking about Alexia, maybe in Miami, but they weren't talking about Alexia before the Real Housewives of Miami either. At least not in these streets. Y'all will talk about it in the comments section. She might be a big name in Miami. And even then, I'm like, I know quite a few people from Miami. Y'all will get back to me. Was she that chick? We know Herman was that man. How you doing? Anyways, let me focus. So Adriana, she wants to clear this rumor up about her boyfriend. I guess he's her boyfriend or the guy she's dating. If he's married or not. Because Alexia says, I've heard that he's married. The streets are talking that this guy, is married. Again, why is she bringing this up in front of everyone? Instead of taking Adriana to the side and really looking out for Adriana, why is she bringing this up in front of the entire group? Again, we're filming a reality show. If she didn't, well, I mean, she could have pulled her to the side and filmed that too. So Adriana decides to call this man, and he doesn't pick up. Did you guys notice that there's an alliance building between Adriana, Julia, and Guerdy? Because now all these ladies are turning on Guerdy. Guerdy needs to line herself up with someone that's going to have her back. And Adriana, goes over to Guerdy like, I get where you're coming from. So there's all of a sudden a shift in some of the friendships. I don't know. How do you guys feel about a Julia, Adriana, and Guerdy alliance? I don't know how I feel about that because I don't really love the Adriana and Julia alliance. I do like Adriana. Sidebar, Adriana has a music video coming out called Fire. I didn't realize she had a song before. Was it good? I didn't Google schmoogle it. We heard the snippet and I was like, she said off the success of that one, which was like how many years ago, she's doing a new song. And she's invited all the ladies to be in the music video. All right, girl. But she calls, the guy calls her back. The guy that she's dating calls her back, and she confronts him about the marriage rumors. He says, no, I've been separated for 5 years. Again, language barriers, people's terminology of certain situations might come into play here. And then she's like, clear this up. Have you been divorced? Are you divorced? And he says, no, I'm divorced. He's been divorced, I guess, 3 years at this point. Well, when they get to the table, Adriana brings it up because she's like, I'm just going to clear my name. And then Alexia is like, well, I got the paperwork from Miami.gov that says otherwise. But these are pictures. When were these pictures taken? Did Johnny, her best friend, Alexia's best friend, go to the website, or were these pictures that he received? I'm not defending Adriana because I kind of believe that the man is married. But I also am not that invested. I could have easily went and looked myself to see if this man is married, but then I have to find out the man's full government and all this stuff. It's not worth it for me because he's not really on the show like that. But Adriana, I implore you that all this needs to be cleared up come the reunion. Is this man actually married? Honestly, Adriana, and I know you didn't like the other guy, but the other guy was a lot hotter. I know he exposed you for, all the injections and stuff that you did. Whatever you did, it looks good. You look good this season. You don't look as greasy. Remember last season she was looking a little greasy? Do I look greasy? No, I look good right now. I had to double check. But this season, her confessionals are looking good. She's looking good in general. Don't get the BBL, Adriana. I know you're just playing with us, but don't do it. So, I don't think it's worth all this pain and suffering, Adriana. I'm actually surprised that you're with this man. But Adriana has a little bit of a tick. Maybe that's why she has a problem with sticking in relationships. I kind of miss the other guy for her ex-husband. But who knows what he was like, as a husband. We only got to see one version of him on the show. Anyway, so she's asking the ladies to be in her music video. They're all saying, "Yeah, we'll do it. We'll do it." Lisa ends up calling the ladies while the ladies are all together, and they have her on speakerphone, and per usual, everyone's like, "Hey, girl, blah blah blah, how you doing?" What da 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 da. Lisa at one point says, "Do you think that he's sleeping with her?" And I know you all were like, "Is Lisa for real right now?" But we have to remember, although I do believe, and even the ladies talk about this, and shout out to the Real Housewives of Miami ladies, because normally some ladies would not divulge. First of all, Marisol says, I never liked Lenny. And then she's now finding out everyone never liked Lenny. But also saying, I think Lisa kind of knew. Lenny probably had already told her this relationship is over. And she wasn't moving forward. They weren't going to get a divorce. So he's now traipsing the mistress in front of her. But in all due respect, Lenny could have filed for divorce, and then she should have known that it was real. We were just talking about this, about the whole TJ Holmes filing for divorce this past week. They could file for divorce and then wait before they decide to pull out their trollops. You know what I mean? So I do believe that Lisa knew this was coming. This wasn't the first time that he had an affair, an emotional affair, physical affair. I believe a lot of you believe the emotional affair was physical too. I think in her brain, her not admitting that it was a physical relationship, she's like, I can move forward with this marriage. And she did. But now she says to the ladies on this call, do you think that he's sleeping with this woman that he's been traipsing around? Yes. And word on the street, all the callers allegedly said at these parties, he would take women upstairs while she was downstairs hanging out. Allegedly. So you may recall when we were talking about the Real Housewives of Miami, and before the season even started, there was a rumor that Lisa confronted Lenny at the club. This was before we knew about a divorce or anything. So now we're seeing the timeline make a little bit more sense. Oh, so she knew he asked for a divorce, and then she saw him and the mistress out. It wasn't the other way around, where she saw the mistress out with Lenny, and that's when, after things played out. Well, before we get to that, Larsa takes the phone because everybody's chiming in. Everybody has opinions about what she should be doing. Lock him, change the locks. But lawyers, you'll remind me, but I believe I remember this correctly. Don't change the locks, right? You're not allowed to change the locks. But you should also not move out because that's abandoning the marital home. Okay? So Larsa takes the phone and she's like, girl, I just want to say I love you. I will call you when I get back to the room so we can have a real conversation. This is why I like Larsa this season. Because all that, yeah, girl, I knew it. All of that, I think they mean well, but those are not the type of friends that Lisa, where when she's going through all of this, she doesn't need that. She doesn't need any of that. So I like Larsa bringing it back to like, I will call you later and we will talk. I like it. So one of the scenes that we get from the ladies a little bit later on, despite everything blowing up and all the fighting that's been happening in Keys, the ladies see a shaman. Look, we've seen shamans before on the show, but I don't know if we've seen the depth of healing that we saw in this moment. I had to write down what everybody was focused on. Julia, of course, her storyline this season is her issues with Martina and the empty nest. Alexia talks about she wants to be more open to Peter and his decisions. Kiki says she's scared to start over. There's more to Kiki's story, and I said this to you before. Kiki's interested in becoming full time, and I said I like Kiki as a friend of. Last season it was a guest. She was a guest. She wasn't even a friend of. This season she's a friend of. But I'm like, wait, what does that mean? What is going on with Kiki? Like, we don't know a lot about Kiki. You don't usually get to know a lot about the friend ofs. But I want to know a little bit more. I want to know what is she scared of? To start over from where? Like, what's her story? And she has a child. So I'm interested to know a little bit more about Kiki. I hope we can get a little bit more of Kiki. I know she can't have a main storyline, but I want to know a little bit more about Kiki. Larsa says she wants to find happiness she once had with Scotty. No matter how you feel about Larsa or her relationship with Scotty, they were together a long time. They were together and they just got divorced. And she says, in the early years, they were very happy. And I really believe that. And I think all the relationships that she's gotten in since then, she's trying to find or match that's what she had there. And I hope that Larsa finds it, because I'm seeing a side of Larsa that I don't think people realize that is truly grounded, that is truly genuine, that's a true friend. And I'm like, she's not as fake as her booty. I'm just saying, Larsa, come on. Look, I'm just saying. And that whole Kim Kardashian situation, I'm glad you got away from the Kardashians, to be honest with you. I really am, for your sake. Guerdy then hints at the pain that she's suffering from. She says there's a bird always knocking at her office window, and it's telling her to work harder, work harder. Any black person, any woman, any black woman can probably relate to what Guerdy is going through. Always trying to be the best. Always just working harder and harder to be the best. It's coming from an immigrant family, trying to there's so many elements that could be going on with Guerdy and her mindset and what she's going through. And I think a lot of people could relate. Like, this shaman situation was really, really, really interesting. Maricel's just talking about strengthening her power to heal. She's the one who's brought this shaman together. She's just like, I just want to be able to do more of what we're doing here for others. I thought that was beautiful. Adriana says that she's trying to heal hearing her mother cry about her father cheating on her. And this is where it makes you kind of think, well, would she date a married man knowingly? Well, maybe not knowingly. Sometimes things happen. I thought this was a beautiful scene. And this is also, after this, Adriana talks about having the ladies be a part of her music video. So the music video, Kiki's the only one that shows up. Kiki's going to show up for work. She's the only one that shows up. The other ladies, Alexia, Marisol, and Larsa, ends up going out to lunch the day they're supposed to go to Adriana's music video practice, and they don't go. Are they just not interested in doing the music video? Larsa's like, I never was going to do it. Alexia's like, I'm Cuban. I can dance. Why? I want to see this. And Marisol's like, I'm just going to be there making cockies. I love these ladies. At least they're honest. But they could have let Adriana know. The director's like, we need them to know what they're doing tomorrow. They're not taking it serious. And I don't blame them, to be honest with you. It's a favor. She's a friend of the show. For them to show up as full-time housewives to her music video really would be a favor. It really would be a favor. And for them to be in her music video, because them being in the music video is going to bring attention to the music video more than just Adriana by herself. Being honest. So Alexia, Larsa, and Marisol have lunch. Larsa tells the group about the run-in with, this is when they talk about running into Lenny and the mistress. She was out with Lisa, and she talks about how Lisa confronts them, and Lisa, in a separate scene, meets with Lenny's mom. Poor Lenny's mom, just like, I've heard of midlife crisis. I just never realized that this would happen. Nobody in our family has done something like this. Mind you, she's still married to her husband. I don't know if he's ever cheated on her, but they stayed married. And you remember the story, how Lenny treated his mom, kicking the mom out. That tells you a lot about Lenny. That tells you a lot about Lenny. As Marisol said, no one likes Lenny, and that is for a reason. And some of you've called in and talked about your own experiences with Lenny, or the things that you've heard about Lenny on the streets of Miami. Ain't no good gonna come to you, Lenny. Ain't no good gonna come to you. Also, they mentioned that Lenny, they talked about, of course, the run-in at the club. We didn't get the full story. We got a hint that Lisa said some things, did some things, because she's like, how are you out in the streets flaunting this woman? And this woman licking her lips when Lisa confronts her too. Okay. And word on the street, Lenny bought the mistress. Not word on the street. She posted on her social media. The mistress. She posted that very $100,000 watch. This is why I believe there might be some money situations going on with Lenny, because the way that he spends money. I wish I had the clip to play you the voice message of the world-renowned celebrity boob god. I wouldn't be surprised because yes, it's an easy way to make money to rent out your backyard. But if you have real money like that, you don't want people in your backyard renting it out for whatever reason, especially if you don't need the money. Okay, so he's buying this lady bags and this $100,000 watch. And Alexia, I agree with Alexia. I'm just glad that he didn't take the watch from Lisa or the bags and stuff from Lisa to give it to this other woman. I mean, I wouldn't put it past Lenny. All right. So a final bomb drops at this lunch. And I did not expect, I thought it was going to be more about Lisa and Lenny and their whole situation. No, Larsa drops a bomb to the other ladies. I heard that a friend of mine saw Julia kissing a man at some club. We saw the preview of this rumor, but I completely forgot about it because we've been dealing with so many other things. And they're like, what? And that's how they end this episode. Miami, 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 Miami. So if I had to rate this episode of Miami, I would probably rate this. This was such a solid episode and so much happened. I'm going to give this a 9. I'm going to give this a 9. Per usual, guys. How would you rate this episode? And tell me why you're rating it this particular thing and what you want to see more of, what you are enjoying from the Real Housewives of Miami. I mean, I'm in Europe where it's cold and wet and cloudy. I needed an escape to the Caribbean, and I got it through the Real Housewives of Miami. Per usual, guys, don't forget to like this video. Don't forget, we still have our fundraiser till the end of the year. I think only a few more hours. So be sure to donate what you can. Share the video so other people can donate. And don't forget to subscribe if you haven't subscribed. Thank you all for being here. Happy holidays and Happy New Year. I will see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching.